Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. We're going to take a quick look at mines of Dalarnia. And just before we do, we usually look at Bitcoin, but I'll just reference my previous video. I make one now every day, just so you can kind of stay abreast of what's going on. It should be somewhere up above here. Now, taking a look here at DAR. I'm sorry, forgot to mention, if you're new to the channel, thank you for joining me here. Appreciate you taking the time. I'm not a financial advisor. I just love teaching people how to trade. So I hope you can learn something here today, okay? That's my goal. That's my passion. I've been trading for over 15 years, and I just love teaching people how to trade. Okay, I've got a trading community, a trading academy, and also I send out signals for every single trade that I take. Link in the description below. Check that out. CryptoCache.tech is the website. Just promise me you won't discriminate based on the website being incomplete for the moment. It is under construction, but you can still have full access to all the features within. Anyways, check that out in your own time. Now take a look here at DAR, or Dalarnia. I think I'm saying it correctly. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's actually taking off here today. Obviously, it's done very well over the last 5 trading days, but we're going to look at some obvious indicators to help us understand what's going on. All right. Now, first things first, we're under the 50-day set moving average, so that could work as a potential resistance eventually. Right now, we don't need to worry about it. It's really not a big deal, but right around 150, you might want to be, kind of, I would say, just cautiously optimistic there in the sense that it could, in fact, reject or take some time before it passes that point. But the good news is once we get back above that, it should take off and continue. Now, what's it going to do between now and then? That's the question, of course. I get that question a lot right now, so we're going to try to help kind of identify what that looks like. Now, what we could do here is a couple of things. We could draw out Fibonacci retracement from the most previous high and to the point we're at now. And if we kind of do that and we look at it, we're obviously up over a key level resistance, $1.08. So 109 essentially if you round up. Keep this in mind, the one-day candlestick hasn't closed yet though, right? The price is underneath that at the end of this trading day, then we can consider that a resistance. It might end up pulling back. But for now, it's tentatively a support, and that's a good sign because it kind of just tells us that we might, in fact, close above that key level resistance, right? Another thing that's equally as important here is that's almost reflected exactly here, if you can see this here, on the RSI. So the relative strength index is telling us we have a key level resistance right there at 50 on the RSI. That's a very standard thing. And if you're new to just say the channel in general, I'm a firm indicator, or I'm sorry, a firm believer on the RSI being a firm indicator of support and resistance levels within the price action. With the RSI right here, just barely peaking above, and the price also barely peaking above, you can kind of put 2 and 2 together that 109 is likely a strong resistance. So if we can close above that on the one-day candlestick, we're going to be looking very good. In my personal opinion, that's usually what I try to look for to help understand if it's going to continue on further, right? And what I mean by close above isn't just like right at that same level. We want it to be where it's at presently, 113 or higher, in order to feel comfortable and confident that it's going to stick. Now, there's no guarantees that that'll happen, of course, but on the same accord, the likelihood of it staying above once it closes above is much higher because you're taking a 24-hour period and it's staying above versus just a 4 or a 3 or 1 hour, whatever the case is. You're essentially getting that confirmation, okay? Because to me, confirmation is really important. It helps you understand you're on the right side of the tracks. We are on the right side of the tracks here. Of course, we had a convergence on the MACD on the 30th of January. Obviously, that's right here at this point. So, simply put, we've been doing very well. We've been in bullish momentous trend, so to speak, for at least the last 7-8 days, right? So again, all good stuff there. So honestly, the macro looks very good for DAR. There's no reason why it should stop moving upwards. Of course, it has good momentum, but we kind of want to see if it's exhausted on the 4 hour. So that's one thing I think is going to be a key here. Let's take a look at the 4 hour here. Two things I see immediately that are both good and I wouldn't say bad, just more so neutral, right? They kind of cancel each other out. We're up over 50 on the simple moving average. That's awesome, right? That notoriously works as a strong support level. As we can see, it kind of already worked as one. Furthermore, we've got the 200-day simple moving average working its way down. This notoriously works as a resistance. Obviously, they both have similar effects, but I think the 200 on the 4 hour chart is a little bit more of a concern. Not in a bad way, just in the simple sense that we might see some resistance, and it could essentially, it could consolidate right there at that support of 109 for the next couple days, and then eventually leg up, or obviously leg down too. We don't truly know. But with this amount of increased volume in the recent past, that's a very good sign. More volume means more interest means less volatility, and the likelihood of it coming straight down is lower because we have more volume, right? More people are invested at a lower price point. And that's a good sign. So again, very good stuff there in DAR. I like the midterm here overall. Let's see if there's anything else that's helpful. And this isn't great, but it's also not bad. In other words, when you got an RSI up over 70, 70 can oftentimes become a support level now, and that could continue to ride moving forward. But it's also considered to be overextended as well, and you need to understand that RSI up over 70 on the 4-hour chart, it doesn't necessarily stay there for a long time. Okay, so what that basically just means is that we want to see another 4 to 8 hours worth of consolidation. Let's do another repeat of this right here, right? In other words, let's get two candlesticks that look like this, and then we'll get our next leg up. That's essentially what I'm hoping for. The main reason why I say that, though, is just because it'll give a chance for the RSI to calm down, right? Because it's considered to be overbought. And if people view this as overbought, specifically whales, they're going to sell their position and the price will come down. Okay, again, not a terrible thing, but you can tell that the price has actually done fairly well over the last 4 hours, more so important in the last 16 hours. And in order for that to continue, it can't shoot up much further, if that makes sense, right? Because again, we don't like parabolic behavior. I don't personally like it. I think it's kind of trouble, right? And we want to avoid trouble in our charts here. And what we want to do is have nice staircase patterns. You can see this is kind of nice up and over, right? So why not let it ride? Why not have another 24 hours of consolidation right at this support level here? Give us that extra 1 or 2 days of candlesticks above that key level support of 109, and then see our next leg up, right? That'd be perfect. That'd be optimal. So that's essentially what we're looking for. Now, taking a look at this, of course, TD sequential helps us identify a lot of that good, healthy behavior. And if we can see here, we got a lot of resets. In other words, we're not seeing a bunch of 9s or overtime, so to speak. Because if you're new to the channel or you're just new to TD sequential in general, it takes the 4th previous candlestick and adds to the number. In other words, adds to the total. So if we see this hitting a 5, essentially, that means this 4th previous candlestick was lower, so it reset and essentially came down to a 1. What that just means is tells us if we see a 9 in one direction, the likelihood of it turning around and going the other way is higher. Right now, we're seeing a bunch of 4s and 5s and they keep resetting, and we're at a 4 right now. So hypothetically, we've got 5 more 4-hour candlesticks left of bullish momentum. Okay. Now, I hope that it just goes sideways, we get another reset, we keep doing the same thing over and over again. That'd be awesome. But just say it were to continue upwards of, hitting a 9, for example, on TD sequential, that'll probably put us closer to 144, 145. And at that point, that would be a good consideration to consider trimming your position, right? But we're not at an exhaustive state yet. And in fact, we're testing the 200-day set moving average almost as we speak. So those are all good things. Just bear in mind, we could see some resistance here soon from the 200. If the price goes sideways for a little while, I might recommend increasing your stop loss a little bit higher. In fact, I think I have one of my current community members actually in a position here with DAR. And, I would recommend just, moving your stop loss as it goes up, if you will, because I don't think it's going to drop like a rock, but if heaven forbid the price does retrace, you can actually take your profits, maybe get in at a better price point. But I don't recommend selling your entire position at this point because it's definitely pushing hard and it's doing well. Okay. Just bear in mind, Bitcoin, if it does correct a little bit, which we're expecting over the next few days, then we might see a bit of a correction from DAR. But I don't think it's going to come down much further than it has before. I mean, you see how, take a look at this here, this 1-day chart. How low was the RSI on the 1-day chart? I mean, you don't see sub 32 often, right? And that's pretty huge. I mean, shoot, it went down to almost 19 at one point. So even though we're back up to 50, it still has more gas left in the tank because of the fact that it's been down for so long. Okay. Plus, it's a gaming coin, right? Big surprise, gaming coins are, in my personal opinion, going to do very well this year. They're going to make a second surge, and it's just a common thing right now. So again, that's personal opinion. That's not official by any means, but I do think that gaming coins will have a second coming, and there's a reason why we have this in our HODL portfolio as a community where we share that, and I think it's going to come back very strong. So I think this is just getting started, and the likelihood of it continuing higher is definitely there. But we want to kind of look at too, another thing I just kind of throw out here as well, just kind of give us perspective on how much further this push could go. So just say hypothetically, it continues in the same momentous trend in the next 5 trading days. We could see somewhere in the range of 172, right? That could be a better case scenario here in the next 5 to 7 trading days. Now I say better case scenario because that is essentially what it is, right? Do not walk away from this conversation thinking 175 is your profit target now, right? That's not what I'm getting at. I'm just telling you that based on Fibonacci retracement here, we've had a decent amount of the growth in the past. Just say what? I mean, actually, hypothetically, that's what, 1, 2, 3. That's almost 2 weeks worth of trading data. So you got to understand that it may not hit 175 in 1 week, but the last 5 trading days, it's jumped up a total of about 68%. we could effectively see that similar amount of growth, right, in the next few days if it continues. Again, we don't want it to do that. We want it to consolidate support and kind of relax and take it easy. But that's essentially what we could see happen, all right? Again, just some friendly advice there, letting you know, because a lot of people want to know what the better case scenario is. I would say 175 is probably a best case within the next, let's say liberally, 1 month. We could see that from DAR, right? Again, there's no guarantees. It could come back down tomorrow. I hope it doesn't. But in that case, hopefully this gave you enough information here. I think 109, closing over 109 here today is a very important price point. Let's identify that first and then let that be our decision. By then we'll know too if we're overextended on the 4 hour, and obviously if the RSI can calm down a little bit more, and we'll see where we're at in that sense. One last thing to look at, we kind of skipped over this. I just like to always peek at the cloud, make sure, yeah, we've literally got no indication of a turnaround coming here at this point. I do see some resistance here, of course, where it tried to push up to 116 and got rejected, but that's pretty standard for this type of leg up here. Okay, so simply put, we've literally got about 12 to 24 hours left in this continuation to see if it's going to turn around. So I wouldn't just turn around and sell right away, but I would be ready to maybe consider taking some profits and set a stop loss somewhere sub 109, again, depending on how the one-day candlestick closes. I hope this was beneficial for you, and I'm so sorry I jumped around a lot there. But generally speaking, I want you to exercise caution, be careful. Always watch my Trading Academy videos over and over to ensure that you have those good fundamentals, because it's a lot of psychology going into trading, not necessarily just the charts that I show you here, right? You want to be a good trader, you got to have a good risk tolerance, and you got to avoid emotion and try not to get emotionally involved, right? I know it's easier said than done, but try your best to do so, and just kind of be true to yourself, find out what works best for you, and develop your own trading style. Because I might be way off base with this one. There's no guarantees. But it does look like it wants to continue, and I think it should here in the near future, pending Bitcoin doesn't drop, like a rock here in the next couple of days, which I also think is less likely. I think we're going to hold at 40,000. That's just my personal bet. All right. Well, thanks again for your time. Look forward to speaking with you or seeing you, whomever you are. Obviously, if you're in the chat, I'll talk to you later. And if not, consider becoming a community member, CryptoCache.tech, link in the description below. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you soon.